Enjoy the action. We have got so much to look forward to today, kicking off with St Johnstone against Celtic with Alan Preston, Pat Bonner and Alistair Lamont.
Thanks, Kenny. Welcome to McDiarmid Park as St Johnstone look to capitalise on any Champions League hangover that may be lingering over Celtic this lunchtime. A beautiful sunny afternoon in the fair city of Perth, where Celtic have won in their last 11 visits, inflicting some heavy defeats in the process. Wednesday night's defeat by Kelly was St Johnstone's first in 4, but they know this will be a stern test as Ange Postecoglou's side look to put to bed any suggestions of malaise following a run of just one win in 5. It will be the visitors to get us underway here this afternoon. They are going from left to right as we look at it from the back of the main stand in their traditional green and white hoops, with St Johnstone, their home kit of the blue jersey, white shorts and white socks. The away fans, as always, making plenty of noise, occupying both stands behind the goals and a bit of the main stand as well. Ewan Anderson is the referee and will be getting us underway in just a couple of seconds as a much changed Celtic side look to show exactly what they're all about after Wednesday's defeat in Leipzig. Here's Stephen Welsh with an early touch out to Hatate on the left-hand side. Forward it goes to Bernabei, making his first Premiership start, and back to Hatate, and now Welsh. Carter Vickers, so important to Celtic, back in the starting lineup after a few games out through injury. Joe Hart with a baseball cap on, with the sun in his eyes this afternoon as Haksabanovic picks up and knocks out to Abada, whose pass is a poor one. St Johnstone pick up and will try and put a move together to move them up the field, but it's going to be so important, Alan, that when they do win possession, that they're able to try and hold on to it.
Yeah, they've got to be brave on the ball if they can. Someone's going to have to put their foot on the ball as well. It's important that Clark and Murphy, the two that are deployed up front, can hold it for them, which will in turn allow the midfield to get up and join. But it's easier said than done. Celtic sometimes really put the pressure on, as we've just seen.
Here is Bernabei out to Hatate. It does look like O'Reilly is playing the deepest of the three midfielders as Celtic come forward again, knocked away by the St Johnstone captain Liam Gordon. Interesting to see how O'Reilly performs in that slightly unfamiliar position to him, certainly in terms of his Celtic career.
Yeah, it is. That's the question, and at the moment he's playing ahead of the two strikers, playing in between the lines there, which sometimes maybe if you're not unsure you might drop back into the space to get a ball, but he's been brave to pick up that position. So far he hasn't had any of the ball because he kind of dropped in. Jimmy Murphy's dropped in to almost crowd the space a little bit.
He's certainly a good enough technical player to adapt to that, isn't he, Alan?
Well, he's a fantastic football player, he really is, and if he gets his head, he can really pick a pass. As
trying to do that right now for Jota down the left-hand side. Blue right trying to stick with him, and it's the first corner of the game out on the Celtic left as the visitors look for that quick start, the early goal that Ange Postecoglou so desires.
Yeah, what was impressive there, Alan, is that when O'Reilly did pick it up, it was a forward pass. It was down the line, and they got their corner from it, so that's a good start from him.
He is that type, he just plays forward all the time, Pat.
Corner kick swung in by O'Reilly, headed goalwards by Stephen Welsh, but just onto the roof of the net of Remy Matthews. 2.5 minutes on the clock. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
It's been all Celtic so far. You know, they've forced a corner. St Johnstone have had maybe 2 or 3 touches, but they're just panicking at the moment and kicking the ball away. Bit of composure on the ball if we can, and as you'll see, yes, it sets up as a back three with Matthews, who's got to take the by kick here, but quickly they drop back into a solid 5 with Brown going virtually into the left back area and Dre right into the right back area.
Matthews goal kick then. Carter Vickers beaten in the air there by Jamie Murphy, but it breaks out to this near side for Anthony Ralston, who did have a lone spell at McDiarmid Park. Here's Bernabei, just flicks that away out to the left-hand side for Hatate, then continues his run. The young Argentine picks up once more, looks to slot it through for Jota, who's on the move. Tracking back there though by Dre Wright. His pass out of defence isn't a good one though. O'Reilly picks up on the edge of the box. It's Hatate looking to find the run again of O'Reilly. It's cleared away, but it is All hands to the pump at the back just in these early stages for St Johnstone, with the throw-in quickly taken by Celtic. Bernabei out to the left-hand side of the penalty. It's Hatate just overruns it. It'll be a goal kick to St Johnstone. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0, 4 played.
Yeah, Celtic will make those little runs beyond the defence, and they've got to track them very quickly. It'll be a midfielder that'll be going, or the wide man coming in, making a little run on the inside, and midfielders or one of the spare players at the back. Well, there's going to be 2 spare players. They've got to be really conscious of those little runs, and they've got to track the players properly.
Matthews again with a goal kick. St Johnstone kicking from right to left in this first half. As we look at it from the back of the main stand, they've won themselves a throw-in.
All I've got to say, there's a really sharp sun. I just see Joe Hart with his bonnet on. Is that the right word? The old Scottish bonnet, hat, cap, whatever way you want it.
You're the last person I remember wearing them in games. Goalkeepers don't wear them now.
No, I hated the sun in my eyes. You know, you almost are trying to peek through the sun to see the ball.
Yeah, well, Joe Hart's certainly going to have to deal with that should he face any balls into the box in this first period. That's a poor throw-in by Bernabei. He's given it straight to Kucheravi, his first league start for the side, the young Ukrainian midfielder. Free kick has gone Celtic's way midway inside. They don't have, just to clarify for the listeners, Parky, in terms of Celtic's midfield makeup, then it is O'Reilly is the deepest one, Hatate's a bit to the left and ahead of him, and Haksabanovic slightly to the right, but again ahead of Hatate. It's a familiar shape for Celtic, but players occupying slightly different roles. Certainly Haksabanovic, we've tended to see him playing wider in his early Celtic career.
Yeah, well, he came on midweek and he played in the same role as he's playing today, inside, almost like an inside right position, and he'll break forward from there. But he's got ability, there's no question about that. I think the key player is going to be O'Reilly. Can he be the one to pivot? Is he the one that's going to pick up the ball? Is he going to one that's going to start to play, make those penetrating passes down the side to the wingers very quickly?
Here's Hatate on the left-hand side for Celtic, just inside the St Johnstone half. Threads that through for a shot. It's a really good ball, but also a good challenge out there on the far side by Dre Wright at the expense of a throw-in down near the corner flag. Dre Wright's going to have his hands full. He's going to be doing more defending than attacking as a wing-back, probably operating more as a full-back realistically. Alan, as Jota goes down the left-hand side, swings the ball and it's knocked away, but only half cleared by Mitchell. Hatate rather loses sight of the ball, but it's back in Celtic's possession. It's Haksabanovic. And now Bernabei on the edge of the penalty area gets it back from Hatate. Good position, Bernabei across goal. No one can tap it in, and Ralston can't reach it to keep it in. And it will be a St Johnstone goal kick. A good move from Celtic. They just couldn't convert it.
Yeah, again, Celtic getting in behind the St Johnstone defence, and this time it's Bernabei getting down to the byline. I think he did the right thing. I thought he was going to maybe have a shot on goal, but the goalkeeper had covered his near post, and he's played it across almost about 4 yards from goal, and I think it was Giakoumakis that just missed it, and has come off almost his toe and went for a goal kick across the goal, out on the opposite side. But really good play again. Celtic, that familiar runs in behind, and are getting down into those good positions.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little give and go in the box, and I think one of the St Johnstone defenders actually done reasonably well, leaning into Giakoumakis so he didn't get a free hit at goal there.
Celtic throw in midway inside their own half, but they have started well, Packy, and there's no sign of any, as I was saying earlier on, a Champions League hangover. They started sharply as if they mean business.
Yeah, and when they're in control of the ball, then they're a really good team, as we keep saying. Just controlling possession, their 1-2 touch passing, all the players confident to look for the ball, and then they're really good in the final third. I think
Bernabei slides it through for Jota. He looked offside, but he continues into the middle, and Abada somehow knocks it over the top. It's a goal kick that's given, but yeah, he looked a couple of yards offside, Jota, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He looked well offside. I know what the assistant in this right hand side was up with play, but certainly he looked offside. But what a miss from Abada, coming in, getting to that position brilliantly, and side foots it well over the crossbar when the goal was wide open, Alan.
Yeah, it's a bad miss, and I think he is onside.
I think Kerridine Edson, who's our pitchside reporter this afternoon, seen a replay.
Yep, James Brown was playing Jota onside, so had Leal Abada done what everyone thought he should have done and tapped that away.
At the other end, it's Nicky Clark trying to chip it over Joe Harbury. Gets it too high over the crossbar, but chances at either end there. The first for St Johnstone of the game. Nicky Clark just unable to hit the target, but that at the other end goes down as a huge miss then from Lee Abada.
A big miss from Abada, and then a miss from Nicky Clark, as you said. Abada should have scored at one end. You know, he's got to try and get over the ball and smother it if he can and knock it into the net. And at the other end, it's just a simple goalkeeper's kick out. And it goes on and Clark's through. He does the right thing. He tries to chip Joe Hart, just doesn't execute it correctly.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. If Stephen Welch was expecting O'Reilly to get his head on it, but he let it go and let it bounce, and when it went through, then it was a race between Nicky Clark and Stephen Welch, and it was a big chance for them.
It was Bernabé that played the ball through for Jota. It was an excellent ball, as it turned out, because the Portuguese winger was onside, and when he laid it on a plate for Lee Abada, and should really have done better than miss the target. Giacomakis can't get on the end of that through ball, and it's straight through to Remy Matthews. But St Johnstone certainly starting the opening 10 minutes on the back foot. And Callum Davison admitted beforehand he expected Celtic to dominate possession, and they're certainly doing that. But it's been a much better opening 10 minutes from Celtic than we saw, for instance, when Ange Postecoglou last made a raft of changes in the league packet at St Mirren. It's a completely different performance in the early stages.
Yeah, the problem that St Johnstone has, they've obviously asked maybe one of the forwards to come back on to O'Reilly. That means then there's one up against the two centre halves, and with Carter Vickers in the team, he's capable of building from that position, also making good passes, and it's hard to put pressure then higher up the pitch.
And the thing is, we're only playing one up front, and Clark, that allows the two full-back pack to go forward. To see Ralston virtually playing as an inside right, you know, he's 25 yards outside the box. He's a right back.
Jota's lost it, and then a challenge there by Stephen Welsh, who's going to, I think, be yellow carded for the challenge out there on the far side.
I don't think he's caught him. I really don't think he's caught him.
I think that's what he's remonstrating with the referee, that he actually didn't touch him, but he gets a yellow card for it. He's gone to ground, he was late, and whether he's touched him or not, I think that's probably made up the referee's mind.
Yeah, we're getting information that there was no contact there, but Stephen Welsh certainly committing himself to the challenge, but perhaps a yellow card sounds like it's a bit harsh for the Celtic defender. Early stages, 11 minutes in, St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0. You're listening to Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland Extra, on Sounds, on digital, medium wave and online. Plenty of football to come over the course of the day right here on Sports Sound as Celtic deal with the free kick up towards Jota. It goes on the halfway line. St Johnstone really trying to work their way into the game, but Jota switched play for Abada. Brown trying to get back at him. Abada gets it into the middle. It's knocked away by Considine, and then there's a foul by Abada as he tried to keep it alive for Celtic on Brown, just on the edge of the penalty area. It will be a free kick and a bit of respite for Saints. 0-0.
They've got to just put their foot in the ball. It's all Celtic. They're just giving it away. They get up the other end, and I think which could be pivotal today for St Johnstone is set plays. If they can get free kicks, if they can get corners, they're a big side, and Celtic are maybe vulnerable in that area. I don't know, Pat, you'll see it more than me, but I think St Johnstone are a big, powerful team now.
Well, they've got Giacomakis, O'Reilly, probably in the two centre halves. That's the four. Maybe Ralston also that would make up the fifth. They always probably want that five tall players to deal with anything that St Johnstone has.
Maybe Matthews with a clearance, won by Clark with a flick on. Ralston though gathers and plays it inside to Stephen Welsh. Immediately out to Bernabé, who also looks like a fullback who wants to get forwards. Clips the ball looking for Jota. It was well defended by Wright, and then there's another challenge there, this time on Kucheravi, which is penalised, and St Johnstone will have a free kick midway inside their own half. Played almost 13 minutes since St Johnstone just trying to get to grips with a vibrant Celtic opening periods.
Yeah, and going back to the point that Alan was making in the wide areas, it's almost a 2v1 situation for the wing back. That then forces one of your midfielders to get out to help. You're almost sitting with three centre backs up against one, because you want to protect that sort of centre of the box. So you have to give up some sort of space in the middle of the pitch, and you can't go man for man, and Celtic then dominate the ball. Mitchell's free kick flicked on by Clark, who's already won, I think, 3 high balls up there, and now it falls to Jamie Murphy on the left-hand side of the penalty area. Well challenged though by Ralston, out for a throw into the home side on this
near side, the St Johnstone left, about 25 yards from the corner flag.
He was coming up, I would have let him thrown it in long.
Yep, but he's taking it short, and it is Constantine who swings it into the back post, but too much on it with the right foot from the former Aberdeen man, and it will be a Celtic goal kick. Almost 14 minutes on the clock. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
It's been St Johnstone almost 14 minutes, as you say. I'm still in the game. You know, it's been a little bit hairy at times, but they're still in it. Just got to keep their shape.
As Ralston brings it forward and plays it to Abada on the right flank. Ralston picks up once more, early ball into the box. Hatate trying to bring it under control. It's just poked away from him by Kucheravi. Welsh gets his head to it and knocks it down for Bernabei. Midway inside the St Johnstone half. Now Jota infield for O'Reilly. Clips it into the penalty area. Down goes Giakoumakis, holding his head, and eventually Remy Matthews is gathered. Ewan Anderson going to stop play here for the challenge on Giakoumakis. No penalty certainly awarded, but Giakoumakis, the striker, making his first start in the league this season, couldn't make contact with the cross as a result of the pressure on him.
It's an interesting one to see again, actually, but I think Giakoumakis, he just got in front of the defenders almost trying to hold him off with his arm, with his forearm, and he can almost goes to ground on that basis. Now I don't think there was enough in it for a penalty, that's for sure, but he went down very, very easily. He's back on his feet now, and he's fine.
Not a penalty for me, just strong defending in the end. He just holds his ground.
Kerdine, you've seen a replay?
Yeah, pretty much spot on what Al is saying there. It was Andy Considine who went in with Giakoumakis. He did have his arms wrapped around him, but I would have been very surprised if the referee had awarded anything for that.
Giakoumakis is offsides as he grapples away there with Ryan McGowan, who I must admit, Alan, I was chatting to you just pre-match about him playing this holding defensive midfield role. I've not seen him do that before, but you've seen him.
He was the best player on the pitch last week at Tannadice. He was brilliant. He was breaking things up. He was driving forward with the ball at his feet. An unfamiliar position for Ryan McGowan, but one he's clearly enjoying. What it does allow is the two wing backs, if they can, obviously against Celtic it's difficult because they're pinned back, but against other teams it allows the two wing backs to go forward because he's the one that will hold and protect.
The free kick is going straight at a play. It'll be a Celtic throw-in deep in their own territory on the right hand side. Anthony Ralston, who's only made 3 appearances this season. He had a great season last year. He's a real revelation under Ange Postecoglou, one of the many players to benefit from the Australians' coaching and wisdom, but he's been playing second fiddle to Josip Juranovic for the large part of this season as Murphy goes down under pressure. He was looking for a free kick, but don't think there was too much in the way of contact there, and the referee waves it away and awards the throw-in to Celtic again, just a few yards away from their own corner flag. Ralston takes it into Haksabanovic. He knocks it back to Carter Vickers almost on his own goal line. Out to Ralston, gets it back to Carter Vickers again. Celtic trying to play it out of defence. Carter Vickers stays cool, plays it across the 6-yard box to Joe Hart, who's got plenty of time to measure the pass out to Stephen Welsh, who can now burst forward up to the halfway line. Bernabei out on the left hand side. Jota picks up, wants to come back the way. Kucheravi trying to get the challenge in. Bernabei picks up once more just inside the St Johnstone half, then turned back by O'Reilly to Welsh, and then square for Carter Vickers, who Celtic certainly missed in his absence. Here's Haksabanovic finding Ralston in an advanced position. Now Jota inside the penalty area, left hand side. Can he find room for the shot away from Kucheravi? Back it goes to Bernabei, breaks to O'Reilly on the edge of the box and clips the outside of the post. Took a deflection on its way through, and it will be a Celtic corner, the closest they've come.
Yeah, it was a good effort. It fell to him nicely on that left foot, about 22 yards out, and he struck it. I'm not sure if the goalkeeper got a touch on it also, but yeah, St Johnstone off the hook in this one.
I think it was just a deflection. I didn't see the keeper getting the touch. Just a deflection and then onto the outside of the post. Corner comes in. Matthews comes off his line, doesn't really get anything majorly on it, but Celtic can't capitalise. They do have possession though, and it's swung back out to O'Reilly on the right hand side for the moment. Tries to skip away from Murphy, but then runs into another St Johnstone player and it's cleared away. But St Johnstone coughing up possession all too easily, and Joe Hart comes way out of his goal and just knocks that to Bernabei. But Celtic, a couple of good chances so far. Bernabei a cross goal, no takers, and then O'Reilly deflected onto the outside of the post as Celtic look for the opening goal and look to move 5 points clear of Rangers at the top of the table before Rangers take on St Mirren and Ibrox, which will be our commentary match here at 3 o'clock. Stephen Welsh, short ball to O'Reilly. It's a good pick out. Shots come in and Matthews couldn't gather it. It was Haksabanovic who tried his luck from about 30 yards, and it was too hot for the keeper to handle, but he gets away with it. And then Ralston's pass is cut out, and Murphy taken out of play there by O'Reilly. St Johnstone, incensed by the challenge, might have another yellow card coming out here for the English midfielder.
Yeah, it was a wild swipe, wasn't it? He was late. I would be very surprised if he doesn't go in the book.
I don't think he will. I think it was worse. It was certainly worse than the Welsh tackle when he got himself yellow carded early on.
Yeah, he's not going to book him. That's a let off, because that's a key situation for Matt O'Reilly, because he's got to play that defensive role there in that midfield, and there will be moments in this game where he will have to go in and mix it up with somebody.
See, that's where I think the referee's got it wrong. He's booked Welsh for a nothing challenge, and he's let O'Reilly off for one that was a bad challenge. And that's the consistency of referees. I thought Ewan was doing well, Ewan Anderson was doing well, but just inconsistent again.
Considine recovering from an error there in the middle of the park and managing to get the ball forward. Nicky Clark does well and forces it out to Dre Wright on the right hand side. St Johnstone trying to come forward and create something of their own. It's Wright up against Bernabé, who started well, I have to say. He's had to bide his time and wait for a chance, but Greg Taylor out of the squad today, and the young Argentine played well in the opening 20 minutes. Still goalless. Haksabanovic the latest to try his luck. Remy Matthews perhaps consider himself a little bit fortunate that his inability to hold the shot wasn't punished, but it's still 0-0. St Johnstone pick up. It looked like a handball from McGowan, and Ewan Anderson was only a couple of yards away, and the Australian penalised. Celtic have the free kick, and as they like to do, they take it quickly. In goes McGowan through the back.
That'll be a booking.
That will be a booking right through the back there of Patati, I think it was, who's still down clutching his ankle. Took a bit of the ball, I think, McGowan, but I think he had to come through the player to do so.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, though. He's gone to ground. Once you go to ground in the modern game and you don't get the ball properly, then you're in trouble. And he's caught, I think it was it's Haksabanovic actually. He's caught his foot, and yeah, he's in the book.
But the St Johnstone players are rightly saying to the referee, you never booked O'Reilly for a similar challenge 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, as you say, Alan, it's all about consistency, isn't it? Which is a real bugbear for managers, certainly, and I guess players and pundits alike. Anyway, back underway, and a poor ball forward from Bernabé. Yeah, you're right, it was Haksabanovic who was on the end of that Ryan McGowan challenge, and he, like Stephen Welsh before him, will have to tread a fine line now with still about 70 minutes of the game to play. Still no goals though. Celtic dominating as you would expect. Haven't found a way past Remy Matthews as yet, as the St Johnstone keeper pumps a long ball forward. Comes off the back, I think, of Nicky Clark, and it'll go out for a throw in to Celtic over on the far side, the visitors' left flank.
Yeah, I think Callum will be quite happy. Yes, it has been a couple of times, a couple of scary moments for them, but so far, quarter of the game gone, 0-0, good setup, they're competitive, you can see it in there. Attacks are very, very few and far between. We said that in the start of the game. They do get chances after take them. We've had one really with Nicky Clark, but they're doing very well.
Here's Ralston, halfway line inside the centre circle, spreads it out to the right hand side for Abada with a chance to earn it. James Brown back in field to O'Reilly. Now it's Haksabanovic in the angle of the box on the right hand side. Ralston makes the run round him and outside him, and eventually gets the ball. Has to go back the way to O'Reilly. Ralston once more, and all the way back to Carter Vickers. Square for Stephen Welsh, about 15 yards inside St Johnstone territory. Now out to the left hand side for Jota. Bernabé hits the byline, but it's swept away by Mitchell at the back for St Johnstone, but they just can't hold on to the ball at all, inviting more pressure from Celtic. 23 in, still 0-0, but Celtic looking for a way through. Ralston out to Abada once more, who takes on Brown on the outside this time. Glances the ball into the penalty area, and Mitchell, trying to clear it, just knocks it over his own Crossbar, getting a bit lucky there, Mitchell, but it will be a Celtic corner.
I've got to say, Remy Matthews was in the wrong position there. He was almost standing on his near post. The ball's way out wide on the right-hand side, and if he was standing 2 yards further back and a yard further off, he'd just come and collected that.
Brilliant wide play by Abada though, and you know what, Mitchell's not got a clue where that ball's going when it hits him.
O'Reilly with the corner, left-hand side out swinger. Comes to Hatate about 20 yards from goal. He has to go back the way, and it's Bernabe who picks up left-hand side. Back out to O'Reilly, and in field Celtic look to build once more. Haksabanovic in a deep position, out to Hatate on the right-hand side for the moment, midway inside the St Johnstone half. Plays a 1-2 with Haksabanovic, then back in field to Carter Vickers. Square to Welsh, 20 yards inside St Johnstone half as Celtic continue to probe, looking for a way through. Welsh into the penalty area it goes, headed away by Considine. It'll be picked up by Clark, tries to glance it to McGowan, who can only just poke it forward to the halfway line, and again it's easy possession for Celtic. Welsh to Bernabe, out to the left-hand side for Jota, the goal scorer. On Wednesday out in Leipzig, he's run into Dre Wright, and Wright can try and come forward, but his attempted pass is cut out, gets it back, and then wins the throw-in for his side 25 minutes in. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, and St Johnstone, everybody back behind the ball, almost everybody within 40 yards of their goal, just making it really difficult for Celtic, really compact, and that's when the wide areas are really important. And I think Dre Wright has done well up against Jota so far.
Well. I think Jota's been excellent this season, Pat. He's such a bag of tricks when you see him, but so far Dre Wright's done very well. Long way to go still.
Yeah, it's all about stages for St Johnstone, isn't it? Just marking down every 5 minutes that they manage to keep Celtic out, really trying to get to half-time initially.
Yeah, there's no possession from St Johnstone, really, is there?
No.
They've been up the pitch a couple of times. They got into wide positions, maybe got positions where they could put the ball into the box from those wide positions, even from throw-ins, and they haven't really been able to do that. So that's the only thing. It's all about hanging in for the first half hour.
It's what's going to be expected though, Pat. You're playing Celtic, champions of Scotland, are going to have 60-70% of the ball. It's how you work off the ball when you don't have it. How's your shape? Make sure there's no gaps in between centre half and full-backs. Celtic make a lot of runs with their wingers up the inside of full-backs, and so far St Johnstone have got their distances just spot on.
Carter Vickers out to Abada, just inside the St Johnstone half, clips it forward. Well read though by Liam Gordon, but again, you just need to take a bit more care of the ball, do they not, Alan?
But they've no target though.
If they can, it is difficult. If they can, because of, as Pat touched on, the whole St Johnstone team, with the exception of Matthews, are within 30 yards of one another. So when they are trying to hit it long, there's no one up the park for them. If they can, drop it to feet. Murphy and Clark hold on to it, but it's easier said than done.
There's Welsh on the halfway line. Forward for Hatate. Hatate looking for the run of Jota. Terrific ball. Jota on the goal line. Clips it in left-footed. Back there went Wilker Hallberg and concedes a corner, but a good bit of tracking back there.
That's the ball I'm talking about. Celtic do it relentlessly. Inside the wing back, inside the full back when they're playing against a four. They do it all the time. They're brilliant at it.
Jota across there on the left-hand side to swing this one in right-footed. Celtic still looking for the opening goal. Headed away to the edge of the penalty area and helped on by Dre Wright, but Hatate will keep it in. Right-hand side, slides it forward for Abada, right-hand side of the penalty area, trying to get away past Nicky Clark, and it clips the top of the crossbar and it's way behind from Liel Abada. Still Celtic can't find the opening goal with 27 minutes on the clock. It's St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, I think if you're up against Abada, I think you've got to try to show him on the inside. You know, if you let him go, he's got that ability to come up, drop his shoulder and go wide, and he's got the ability then to go and execute the cross or whatever. That time he nearly went into the back post. But I would, if I was a full or wing back or full back, I'd be trying to show him into bodies.
Do you want me to tell you something? I used to think that as well. But see, when you're there, you've got to show him outside. You show him. I once showed Andrican Chelsea inside and he smashed it in the top corner. You've got to be careful. I would rather he goes wide, he might fluff his cross as he did there, than come inside and look for a 1-2, look for a shot at goal.
Difficult, isn't it? Here's Murphy though at the other end. Welsh manages to make the clearance from inside his own penalty area. Across comes Considine to nod it down to Brown. Brown just helps it forward. Clark battling away, so too Hallberg. A couple of St Johnstone bodies hitting the deck. Celtic managed to clear their lines. Ralston with a rather wayward clearance this time though, and St Johnstone will have the throw in over on the far side. as the half-hour approaches, and St Johnstone will be delighted that they're still well in the game, still level pegging with the champions, who have been utterly dominant. But other than a Haksabanovic shot from distance, Remy Matthews hasn't made too many saves so far, as it's picked up by Nicky Clark over on the far side. It's really good play by the young fullback Bernabei. Again, he looks like the player that Celtic wanted when they spent a few million on him in the summer.
Yeah, it was good defensive play, but also a good pass when he did win the ball, drove forward at a little bit of pace.
Here's O'Reilly clipping it forward, looking for the runner, Giacomakis. Considine trying to match him, he's done well. The veteran defender brings it out to the left-hand side. Giacomakis lunging in to try and block the clearance, can't do so. Celtic pick up once more. Haksabanovic inside for Hatate, midway inside the St Johnstone half, gets it back from O'Reilly. Japanese midfielder once more points where he wants Haksabanovic to go, plays it to Ralston instead. It's back with Hatate, still midway inside that St Johnstone half. Picked up now by Bernabei, goes back the way to Welsh inside the centre circle. Square for the stand-in captain Cameron Carter-Vickers. O'Reilly now for Ralston, forwards for Abada. Haksabanovic picks up central area, gets it back from O'Reilly. Forward he looks, plays it out to the right hand side. Ralston tries the cross, it's blocked. It'll come back to Ralston, just nudges it forward. Brown's there, poor touch from him, and he's lost it to Ralston. Crossing opportunity comes off. Considine, Jota's there, he's offside anyway as he heads it wide. The flag did go up on this occasion as the Portuguese winger couldn't hit the target in any case, and it remains as the half hour ticks past. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, he probably was in an offside position, but it was a really good bit of play from Anthony Ralston, winning the tackle and putting the cross in. Took a little deflection just to take that ball onto Jota, who was free at the back post, I've got to say.
He was offside, we're hearing, but couldn't hit the target. It was a lovely finish from him on Wednesday to bring Celtic level, albeit briefly, as O'Reilly tries to feed the ball forward. He does do that, but it's a rather wayward pass, and James Brown goes back almost to his own goal line and then just knocks the ball up towards the halfway line. Neither Clark nor Murphy can make anything of it, and Welsh picks up and plays it to Joe Hart, who has been a virtual spectator in the sunshine out there. He's not had to worry about the sun too much so far.
I'm talking about his hat, he could have wore sunglasses.
And a deck chair.
He'll be very happy. He'll be very happy with that sun in his eyes that he hasn't had too much to do.
But neither has Matthews, Pat, to be honest.
Yeah, St Johnstone have stood firm, they've defended well for the most part, kept their shape, and as I say, it was really Haksabanovic from distance with the greatest threat for Matthews, as there's another bit of hard work going on there by McGowan to rob O'Reilly and win his side. A throw in, and every little bit of play like that, Alan, just eats up a few seconds and just lifts, I suppose, the confidence of St Johnstone.
Yeah, they can slow the game down, you know, get themselves back into their shape and make sure that they're difficult to break through. They'll just take their time, St Johnstone, with set plays, things like that. While it's 0-0, they're right in this game.
Hallberg wins the header. Nicky Clark beaten in the jump though by Welsh, and picked up by Haksabanovic. Gets it away from Kucheravi, but Wright picks up on the right hand side and turns nicely away from Haksabanovic. Tries to make some yardage down that right flank, but eventually runs into trouble, knocks it out of play, and it will be a throw-in to Celtic over on the far side. The Celtic left midway inside their own half, still goalless with 32 on the clock. Throw-in taken by Bernabei into the feet of Haksabanovic. Now it's with Hatate midway inside his own half on the left hand side, plays it short back the way to Welsh, who continues to get game time in the absence of the likes of Carl Starfelt and Maurice Jens this afternoon as well. Here's Bernabei on the halfway line, left hand side, short to Jota. Jota back the way to Bernabei. Hatate now back to Welsh. Welsh square for Carter-Vickers, about 15 yards inside his own half, as the home side, home fans begin to find their voice and try and get behind their team. They'll need all the support they can get as they try and eke out a result here against the defending champions and league leaders Celtic. Welsh forward for Bernabei, just inside his own half, back to Welsh once more, comes forward and then plays it square again to Carter-Vickers. St Johnstone filling the gaps well, not allowing Celtic an easy ball forward, as Welsh plays it short to Bernabei, who's in off the flank. Jota offers himself short, that's where it goes, and then back to Welsh once more. It's just become a little bit more ponderous from Celtic. They try and inject a bit of pace, but Hatate's ball poked forward, finds only Brown, who knocks it back to his goalkeeper, Remy Matthews, who'll clear, headed back down by Ralston for Haksabanovic, who picks up again from Hatate, and now it's Bernabei coming forward, midway inside the St Johnstone half. Jota back for Haksabanovic. Jota once more, 30 yards from goal, just slightly to the left, lifts it forward. Abada was in there, but he's offside as he knocks it into the net at the second attempt off Matthews. The flag had long gone up, and after 33, almost 34 minutes, it's still goalless here.
Yes, and Johnstone making it really difficult for Celtic to break them down. They're very, very compact. That 5, the 3 in midfield, almost the two strikers dropping off to make it really compact between the lines, and also getting their distances right, as Alan said earlier, and that means now that Celtic in a 1v1 situation, they need to find somebody who's going to actually break them down. They're trying these little runs in behind. Early on it worked. Now I think it hasn't quite, the timing of the runs hasn't quite been there, Alan.
No, I think it's credit to St Johnstone, I really do, Pat, just because the way that they're set up with Callum. But here's a difficult one now.
Ralston looking for Abada, James Brown matching him for pace, nudges it back to Matthews, who manages to prevent the corner kick. It was good bit of defending by Brown, who was alert enough to stick with Abada.
But it's the ball time and time again inside the wing back, whether it be inside Ray Wright, inside Brown on the other side. Got to make sure that the centre half's given cover.
Haksabanovic, right hand side, just stumbles as he thought about playing the cross in. Instead he goes back to Ralston. Now it's O'Reilly about 30 yards from goal. He goes back the way though to Carter Vickers. Both managers out in their technical areas watching on as their teams have very different aspects of play here. Celtic all about the attacking, all about trying to find the opening goal. St Johnstone simply trying to stay in the game and stay level.
I watched Giakoumakis. He makes brilliant runs. I mean, O'Reilly's on the ball. If he just picks his head up, he can see the striker. He makes really good runs. He's having a go at O'Reilly again because he made another good run there. They didn't spot him.
Here's Hatate on the left-hand side. It's well watched though by Liam Gordon, who manages to get the ball up towards the halfway line and then knocked out of play by Welsh on the far side. It'll be a St Johnstone throw-in, 10 minutes until the interval.
Yeah, critical 10 minutes for both teams actually. Celtic would love to go into half-time getting that goal to break St Johnstone down, and St Johnstone will be hoping that they can manage to keep Celtic out. But this is the time when concentration levels is really important, and you see so many goals scored just before half-time.
And just after, and it's still a big if, they can get to half-time 0-0, it's the 15 minutes in between that you're slacking off. You've got to come out the second half and do the same again.
St Johnstone have won themselves a free kick just inside the Celtic half, and it'll be a chance to throw the likes of Liam Gordon, Alex Mitchell. They're bigger players forward, as you were saying, Packy. They've got maybe a slight height advantage when it comes to set pieces.
Yeah, right across the back five, they're all big guys, and a few in midfield also.
Albeit Liam Gordon's going to actually take the free kick.
Yeah, but especially if they throw it to the back post for here. Andrew Considine is against Hatate at the back. It's a mismatch. Try and isolate him if they can.
It is arrowed towards McGowan, who's at the back post, and thought about sending him back into the penalty area. Instead he just settles for the corner. And well, this could be the type of situation where St Johnstone are their most dangerous in the game.
Yeah, they'll stand on top of Joe Hart, they'll flood his box if they can, and then they'll move and they'll hope that someone can get in the back of it. You'll see Nicky Clark will come out at the back post.
Melker Hallberg to take the corner kick from the left-hand side, right-footed. Wow. Everyone inside that 6-yard box, he knocks it near post, it's headed away to the edge of the penalty area. Murphy leaves it for Kucheravi, who left-footed blasts it way over the top of the crossbar. St Johnstone might not get too many better chances.
There must have been 8 players inside the 6-yard box all round Joe Hart, and the corner comes and it doesn't beat the first player at the near post. That's disappointing from St Johnstone's perspective.
Yeah, they do that quite a lot. They flood the box like that, and then even when the shot comes out, it would have been better with Murphy on his right foot and Kucheravi on his left.
Yeah, it was a rather wild swing at it from the Ukrainian. Ended up with the Celtic fans behind Joe Hart's goal. Here's Bernabei halfway line. 7 minutes until the break. Still 0-0 at McDiarmid Park in the early kick-off in the Premiership. 4 more games to come in the top flight. 3 this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and then Dundee United Aberdeen is a 6 o'clock kick-off, a new one for the Premiership, with a maybe American audience being targeted there. With
I think it's great, I really do. I think it's try something, why not? I think it's brilliant.
That will also be live with us here on Sportsound later on, with Rangers St Mirren and open all mics indeed available on FM, BBC Sounds from 3, if that's your bag. Here's Nicky Clark on the halfway line. Now Dre right hand side, up against Bernabei, just knocks it back to Kucheravi about 15 yards inside the Celtic half, switches play out to Murphy, just lets the ball bounce and then collects it on his chest. Up against Abada, who's having to do some defending all of a sudden. Into the penalty area, comes well defended by Stephen Welsh, who gets the header clear, and Haksabanovic then hits the deck under pressure from James Brown. It will be a free kick to Celtic. Just over 5 minutes left in the first period. It's St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0.
It's a good team foul there by Brown. It's not enough to get him a yellow card, but it just stops Celtic right away.
Free kick again taken smartly by Celtic, as Carter Vickers picks up just inside his own half, plays it square for Welsh. Bernabei now on the halfway line, left hand side. The Argentinian plays it back to Welsh. Now Carter Vickers looking for options, plays it straight through the middle for Giacomakis, who was well matched there by Gordon.
Giacomakis went to come short and then go long, and Carter Vickers couldn't read the movement that he's played into his feet, and then it was cut out. But again, it was decent movement from him. He wants that ball over the top.
Carter Vickers again.
There he goes again. He makes brilliant. Just sit and watch up at Giacomakis. Really good movement.
Here's Welsh out to Hatate, left hand side, 10 yards inside St Johnstone territory. Now Jota back to Hatate once more. He'll come back the way to Welsh, and Carter Vickers once more to the right hand side for Ralston. Ralston looking to find Giacomakis at the edge of the penalty area, but it was Gordon again who was alive to the danger, heads it out of play on this near side for a Celtic throw-in to be taken by Ralston midway inside the St Johnstone half. Abada comes short looking for it, instead it thrown into Haksabanovic. The Montenegrin looking to move away from Brown, gives it back out to Ralston on this right flank. Thought about the cross, then goes back to Haksabanovic once more. Celtic looking for the opener before the interval. Ralston once more, about 20 yards from the goal line. Hatate popping up on the right hand side. Excellent ball for Haksabanovic. Haksabanovic into the penalty area, and it's an own goal, and Celtic do have the opener. Haksabanovic flashed it into the 6-yard box. I think it was the skipper Liam Gordon who got the last touch on it to direct it past his goalkeeper. Celtic have the breakthrough. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
We did say just before half time was crucial time, but what a great run from Abada. Lovely give and go, and in behind that sort of defence. I'm not sure which of the St Johnstone players almost
Murphy.
let him go.
Murphy.
Was it Murphy let him go? He's got to match that run, whoever it is. He's got to match the run, but it was a great, and then just drove it across that 6-yard box. And if you put it in that area, you're striking on the end of it, or as it happened, it's just come off a defender and beats the goalkeeper at the near post. But great run from Abada.
Yeah, great run, great for Celtic. And I think it's Murphy. I'd like to see it again, but I'm sure it was him dropped his runner there, which would be disappointing. And goals change team talks. You know, we were talking 3 minutes away from half time. St Johnstone could have got a 0-0, which would have been a terrific 45 minutes for them. They now find themselves 1-0 down, and their game plan has to change to get back in it.
Kerrigan's seen a replay. Kerrigan, you can help Alan out. Was it Murphy that dropped was it Haksabanovic, I think, that made the run rather than Abada?
Yeah, it was a real mix of quality and misfortune. The quality from Hatate, wonderful reverse pass into Haksabanovic. He blasted the ball across the area. It was actually Andy Considine who got the final touch, so it's a Considine own goal.
Thanks, Kerrigan.
We've got it all wrong then, eh?
Yeah.
Haksabanovic players.
Haksabanovic going down the right hand side, knocks another ball into the penalty area, and the Celtic fans in full voice now after that opening goal that has come courtesy of Andrew Considine, but just trying to get in the way of the cross basically, and unfortunately for him diverts it past his goalkeeper and into the back of the net.
But they'll get in at half-time, St Johnstone. If it stays 1-0, they'll get in, and then they're going to have to change their game plan. You know, if they just keep dropping off and sitting in as they did, they're going to lose this 2 or 3. They need to then possibly come out a little bit.
And that opens up more opportunities for Celtic. That's the dilemma for the manager.
That's why that goal for St Johnstone is so difficult to take with a couple of minutes to go at half-time.
Here comes Celtic again, looking for a second before the break, which would make things even more difficult for St Johnstone to try and take anything from the game. It's going to be a free kick to Celtic out on the left-hand side, just outside the penalty area, as St Johnstone try to ensure there is no further damage inflicted before the interval. But Celtic will have the opportunity here with a free kick just a few yards to the left of the penalty area, a couple of yards from the goal line. A minute left on the clock of the first 45, plus any injury time that's to be added. And Celtic looking for a second. Remy Matthews right on his goal line, but all St Johnstone's defenders, all the St Johnstone players indeed, back inside the 18-yard box as it's played square to Abada on the edge of the penalty area. I'm not sure he was entirely ready for it, Haksabanovic, eventually with the shot at goal, but Celtic taking the free kick even too quickly for their own players on that occasion. The chance is gone, but it will be a throw-in to Celtic over on the far side. Jota collects. Bernabei will get another chance at a throw-in here as we play the last few seconds of the first period. John Beaton, the fourth official, about to show us exactly how much added on time will be played as James Brown manages to knock the ball away. 1 minute to be added on, and we are into that right now.
I was going to say about maybe Celtic needed a little bit more rotation between the midfielders and so on. I mean, you look back to the goal, if it was Haksabanovic and it got into that position, then Atati made a little run forward, Haksabanovic run beyond, so that little rotation was there, and people and the defenders or midfielders, whoever, then lost their players, and that opened up St Johnstone.
Here's Carter Vickers out to Ralston. Celtic's persistence has paid off with a goal late in the first period. And Joe Hart plays out to the left-hand side. He said nothing to do in terms of saves, and that'll be disappointing for Callum Davis, who I'm sure would have hoped to at least test the Celtic keeper with the sun in his eyes in the first half. It'll be the boot on the other foot in the second half. Remy Matthews having to deal with the sun as well as the Celtic attacks, and here's a late Celtic attack in the first half, but that's cleared away as the referee's half-time whistle goes. Disappointing for St Johnstone just before the interval as their resistance was broken. It was a fabulous Celtic move down the right-hand side. Haksabanovic playing the 1-2 with Atati, and as he flashed the ball across the 6-yard box, it was deflected past his own keeper by Andrew Considine with a desperate lunge to take it into the back of the net. And Celtic did have the opening goal that they've been threatening from the early stages. Bernabei had an early opportunity that he flashed across goal. There was no takers on that occasion. Leo Abada had a really bad miss actually 8 minutes in, but he managed to fluff his lines when he was played in by Jota. The only real opportunity for St Johnstone came on 9 minutes. Nicky Clark was through about 25 yards from goal, tried to lift it over Joe Hart, but the effort was too high, and safely over the crossbar it went. Matt O'Reilly hit the outside of the post with an effort that was from the edge of the penalty area. It was deflected onto the edge of the post, and then Haksabanovic had a shot saved. It looked like St Johnstone had weathered that early storm, but Celtic continued to press, and eventually, as I say, 3 minutes before the interval, got that break inside the 6-yard box as it was knocked past Remy Matthews with the own goal, which means at McDiarmid Park at half-time in the early kick-off in the Premiership, it's St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
The Scottish Premiership.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
So the advantage to Celtic in that first half. Tom English, just watching the game coming into the studio, I missed the goal, actually stood in my trail for off the ball, so just talk us through how you've seen that first half.
I think it was all Celtic, but it was a bit of a grind for them. St Johnstone, very well organised, bit of edge in the game, and Celtic a few chances, loads, total dominance really. But I think they looked like they were getting a little bit frustrated. Not many golden chances, and then they score. And it's lovely. It's a lovely ball from Hattati in behind. Haksabanovic and cross, and Considine turns it into his own net. That'll be so frustrating, to concede late in the half when they've done very well defensively, to concede an own goal like that. But that's broken the game wide open now. It's a big goal for Celtic. It just takes whatever stress might have been coming into their game. It's taken that away.
6 changes for Celtic today, Leanne. What impact has that had on what we've seen in that first half?
A little bit, just in the sense that the consistency levels from Celtic, albeit is very dominant. I think 80-20 in terms of the possession stats, but just the fluidity and the chances that they're creating. Normally it's constant waves of attack and similar types of attacks, and almost it's been a bit patchy, I would have said, in this half. A lot of that down to, as Tom says, St Johnstone being defensively well organised. Celtic have had a couple other chances of bad, certainly, as Al mentioned in commentary, a glaring chance that he misses, almost an empty net, puts it over the bar, but other than that, Celtic had to really work for it, and I think they're having to work for it just because you, as I say, you lack that consistency. You're missing the constant of Callum McGregor being there in the middle of the pitch. I think at times the tempo of the game just now is being dictated by Welsh and Carter Vickers, because they're the players that are looking to find those forward passes, whereas normally I think Callum McGregor drops in a bit deeper and almost splits the two centre backs, and he finds those forward passes, whether it's O'Reilly's finding Hattati. You're now relying on O'Reilly being that player that is finding the through ball. So I just think the consistency levels for Celtic are a bit different, but having said that, it's a very dominant performance, and that would have eased the nerves. Tom mentioned that, maybe just a bit of uncertainty creeping in, where it's such an important game. You're there, the kick-off, you need to get the 3 points. So far they've delivered, Celtic.
Ange Postecoglou, Pat, will he be happy enough with what he's seen so far?
I think so. I think he's
have we interrupted your pie, Pat?
Sorry. Apologies. I didn't think you were going to come to me, actually.
They've not gave you much time, Packet. Have they? He's come straight to you.
Poor man, Kenny. Poor man. I'm trying to have his lunch. And
I'm fine. No, listen, I think he'll be happy enough, because Leanne's probably right in the sense that maybe the tempo is a wee bit down, but I think they've done okay. I think they've moved the ball down to St Johnstone, almost been very organised, stopping them maybe from penetrating them in the middle. They've been gone down the outside, getting those little balls played in behind the wing backs at times. It's worked to a point, but I thought they needed something just to trigger them and almost get them going. And that little rotation that happened for the goal, with Abada coming forward, staying wide, Hattati making that little run down into his position, and then Haksabanovic making a run beyond the defence into space. That little rotation just split St Johnstone open. And before that, I was very almost, I'm playing in my own position. I'm not going to make a sort of a kind of that forward run. And I think from that perspective, then it was fairly predictable for St Johnstone defenders and midfielders to see where the players were. But that little rotation just split them wide open, and that's where the goal came from. So I think he'd be very happy to have got the goal just before half-time.
For Callum Davidson, Leanne, what changes will he be looking at? We spoke before the game about Stevie May. He's been in decent form. He starts on the bench this afternoon. He spoke to us during the week about the partnership he's built up with Nicky Clark. That could be something that comes into play later in this game.
It could be, yeah. You've also got the likes of a Halloran, Witherspoon, as Alan mentioned earlier, back on the bench, whether he's fit for any sort of contribution to this game. But there's options there. Theo Bair as well, who we've seen this season quite a lot. So there's options there. I think that the one thing that St Johnstone need to do better, especially the fact that they've conceded a goal, they're going to need to come out at some point. Now, whether you play for a set piece and try and get higher up the pitch, but they need an outlet. It's the one thing they've been unable to do. Celtic have dominated possession. The majority of passes that Celtic have put together, it's in St Johnstone's own half, so they're going to need that outlet, and Stevie May has offered that this season. Good moments, whether he's stretching a back line, playing on the shoulder, whether he comes short, but they're going to need something. There's no point now in just going through this game and even losing at 1-0. I think if you're St John's, you've got to be a bit braver this second half. Look to try and compose yourself in. As soon as they're winning it back, they're turning it over into channels. There's no players there to pick it up, and then it's backs to the wall again. So I would expect them to bring on, one or two of those players. Halloran gives you that pace as well, middle to front.
That's that old risk-reward thing, isn't it, for St Johnstone? if they go more offensive and they commit more to attack, they could end up on the end of a doing, which could affect morale. If they stay as they are, keep playing defensively, they could just 1-0, maybe 2-0 to get out of Dodge, feeling all right about themselves. What did they do? I mean, do you think they have to go? They have to go offensive now.
I don't think they have to go offensive all out, but I think they need a better outlet, whether that's somebody that, like a Stevie May, that's perhaps a bit better with his back to play, that allows you to get players up the pitch and in and around you, whether it is drawing fouls in that final third and giving you the chance to then put the ball into Celtic's box. How else do you get back in the game just now if you're St Johnstone? I know if I was them, I would rather go and lose the game 2 or 3-0 and actually have a go. Rather than just sitting in and maybe still losing 2 or 3-0. There's nothing really to gain from that, and I'm sure Callum Davidson is fairly content with the defensive duties, but it's 80-20 in terms of possession. Like, you need a bit more. You need to come out and just give it a bit more.
How quickly, Alan, would you expect to see Callum make some changes in the second half?
Not straight away. I think he'll give it 10-15 minutes to try and get themselves back. I think more importantly it would maybe be Celtic. Just looking at James Forrest, he was going through a vigorous warm-up there, and he's got a terrific record here. He scored a hat-trick a couple of years back, I think, James Forrest at McDiarmid Park. So maybe Celtic first to blink, but I agree with Leanne, but St Johnstone are going to have to go for it. They really are. Yes, they could get a hammering, but they've got to try and get themselves back in the game. It's only 1-0. Can you get up the park? Can you get someone to keep the ball so that you can, as a midfield, as a defence, move up? It's going to be very difficult. Celtic have had all the possession, but St Johnstone had that one chance with Nicky Clark when he's through and he tried to lob the keeper. That's all they need, someone to take a chance like that to get themselves back in the game. And while it's 1-0, they've got to believe they can get back in it. If it goes to 2, the game's done, as far as I'm concerned. That's it. But while it's 1, they've got to believe that they can get back in the game.
Alan, it's great to see Witherspoon back on the bench today. He's had a really tough time, hasn't he? He's a player that on his day, he's fantastic to watch.
Magic, the most decorated player in the club's history as well. The only one that started the 2 cup finals for them. A horrendous injury in the semi-final with the cup at Hampden Park, and he's got a World Cup to look forward to if he can get himself in that squad. 7 games to do it, to try and get in the Canada squad of 26 players for Qatar. It would be wonderful, because he's been a great servant to Scottish football, David Witherspoon. He really has at Hibernian and at St Johnstone. And I would love to see it. It would be great to know people that you actually know playing in the World Cup instead of just watching all the superstars.
Yeah, he's a great player to watch. That chop that he does, he can never tire of that, and defenders always seem to fall for it time and again. Looking at Celtic Park, we spoke at length before the game about the absence of Callum McGregor, a huge player for the club. They've not really been tested for long periods this afternoon, but how are they looking without him in the middle of the park?
Well, Leanne's already mentioned maybe it's a wee bit slower. Callum's got the ability to get on the ball in tight areas, and he'll open up and he'll hit that pass. O'Reilly's done okay. He's not had a lot of the ball, and you're right. Carter Vickers and Stephen Welcher are the 2 that's really starting the game from those positions, and then it becomes a little bit deeper and it becomes a little bit slower. But in the main, I think they haven't been really tested. They haven't been really tested defensively. Can O'Reilly play that position and also get on the ball, but also defend when he needs to do it? And he hasn't really been called. He was lucky not to be booked. I think that probably was a booking, and that might have curtailed his ability then to go put any sort of tackle in thereafter. But no, it's been okay. They haven't been tested. This is not probably the day, at the moment anyway, in this game, where you can actually make a judgment.
What do you think as a keeper, Pat, when you watch Joe Hart, you're taking the ball along the back? I just remember being at Boxing Day. It was a dreadful pitch at McDiarmid Park. It was a masterclass that day from Tom Rogic. They beat St John's. But I remember watching a few occasions when they were comfortable in the game, Celtic, and the ball's almost rolling right along the goal line. He's taking a few touches there, the keeper, and he's knocking it out. And of course, we saw that mistake during the week against Leipzig. Do you think this is something that the Celtic backline are comfortable with? Are you comfortable watching it?
Well, listen, Joe left Man City, and he left Man City for a reason, because Pep Guardiola didn't think that he was up to doing that type of role. Now he's come to Celtic Football Club, and I think he's done okay. He's improved, actually. He likes to play outside the box when the ball's higher up the pitch, and he becomes the sort of almost a support player. When it's a bit tighter inside his box, he's lent himself to the game. There'll always be 1 or 2. He's more right-footed than left, as we know, and there will be the odd instance. The mistake he made during the week was really one that I still can't work out because the pass was never on in the first place. He'd tried to pass into a player who was almost, you could say, even if he hit it directly and he wasn't accurate in his pass into Greg Taylor, I think Greg Taylor would have been closed down. He was under severe pressure, so it was a wrong decision. The execution wasn't good, but a wrong decision. But that's the way that the manager wants a goalkeeper to play within this team. He's got to have the ability and he's got to have the confidence and the composure to take the ball. Otherwise, he won't be in the Celtic goal, and that's why he's playing. And he's done okay. Let's take it over the course since he's come. I would say probably 95% of what he's done, what the ball has been decent. That 5%, and that'll always be the case. Look at Gulaski in the game also. He's made horrendous mistakes, but he's been around Leipzig for probably about 10 years, and over that period there will always be the odd mistake.
Is it the contract in the summer, Joe Hart? Is it? Did he sign?
I don't know.
2 years, Kenny? Can you try and find that out? Is it 2 years he signed?
Certainly have a look at that.
Because he might be out of contract.
But
in the
listen,
summer.
if Seagrass was to go in there, he would be he'd be expected to play exactly the same way. That doesn't change. It's about the type of goalkeeper that you have. Can he do it? Can he execute? Can he make decisions? Has he got the experience then, if he does make a mistake, to be able to step on and still continue his game? And Joe Hart has that experience. The disappointing thing midweek was it was a wrong decision.
But it's so important a goalkeeper, Kenny, can be good with his feet nowadays. You know, they're basically that sweeper behind the two centre halves that have to be comfortable with the ball, either foot, play it out left, play it out right, be that final man. They're virtually outfield players now.
And if you're going looking for a goalkeeper now to play in the top teams, they've got to. You're going looking for a goalkeeper that's comfortable with his feet. 80% of his actions is going to be with his feet. He still has to make the big saves, and Joe Hart has come up with big saves. He did it midweek also. Even after he made the horrendous mistake, he didn't shrink. He made big saves for Celtic to keep them still in the game. So that's crucial. But when you're looking at it for a goalkeeper now, and the future for any young goalkeeper listening today, or it's got to be two-footed. He's got to be able to play left and right.
Most goalies are outfield players anyway that just go back. They'll get a wee bit lazy and go back in the goals, are they not?
It's a three-year deal. He signed.
3-year deal, so he's got another year to go after.
And like the thing about Hart, and I'd be a Joe Hart fan. Okay, he's made a blunder during the week, but he's been around the game for so long that stuff like that is not going to bother him. He's had every piece of flack going from former managers, he's from fans. He is a gnarled pro now. So something like that, although it was a bad error, that's not going to bother him.
And we saw that the fact he came out to speak to the media after that
he's
as
a
well.
Real presence. He's a real presence.
Look at his career. His career's been magnificent. Young boy at Shrewsbury, on to Man City. They decided to let him go. Goes out to Italy. I think was at West Ham for a bit before he went to Burnley. And then obviously up to Celtic. He's had a brilliant 70 or 80 caps for England. Brilliant goalkeeper.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
For you, Leanne, do the benefits of that knocking it about, playing out the back, outweigh the risks?
Yeah, of course it does. If you're good at it and you believe in it, which Ange Postecoglou does, that's his style, that's his identity of his team. He wants his goalkeeper to play. He wants his defensive players to be brave on the ball and feed the midfield and give them the ammunition they need to go forward and play. So of course there's going to be moments and lapses in concentration over the course of a season when you're playing 50, 60 games, whatever it might be, but absolutely I think the reward for Celtic is far outweighed the risk so far.
They have the advantage at half-time. Celtic, let's get back to our commentary team at McDiarmid Park. Alan Preston, Pat Bonner and Alistair Lamont.
Thanks again, Kenny. Celtic change at half-time. Dyson Maeda has come on for Jota. So Ange Postecoglou making that half-time switch. Would you imagine that's a knock perhaps back here, just a little rest for Jota rather than a tactical thing?
He wasn't getting a lot of advantage on Andre Wright, I've got to say, in the first half. Well. I think it's probably maybe he says, listen, have a little rest. We want to get you back and be ready for midweek because that's going to be crucial. And I don't think he's had a knock. He might have just said himself, listen, he's such an important player for them. And they're 1-0 up now. Maeda will come in there. He will test Dre Wright. There's no question with his speed. I think it's just a precaution, I would say.
We're back underway then. St Johnstone going from left to right in this second period as Giakoumakis goes down in some pain under the challenge from Kucheravi. It'll be a Celtic free kick out on this near side, the Celtic left. That's incredible, the possession stats in that first half. I mean, it's not surprising given what we were sitting watching it, but 80-20 is quite staggering, Alan.
Yeah, but Alex, to be honest, it's to be expected in the game, and you see it when you go up against a better level of players. When you see Celtic with Real Madrid, I don't know what the stats were there. The other night, Hearts against Fiorentina, Hearts had 27% of the ball. That's what happens when you go up against better sides. But you've got to be organised, you've got to be in your shape, you've got to be tactically spot on. And in that opening 42 minutes, St Johnstone were.
But unfortunately for them, they lost that late first half goal, the Andrew Considine own goal, with Haksabanovic heavily involved as well. So St Johnstone have it all to do in the second period. They're in possession right now. It's a good bit of play from Ryan McGowan, turns 360 and then fires it out to the left hand side. Ralston though sticks a leg in and prevents it getting its way through to James Brown. St Johnstone have it out on the left. Throw-ins taken. Considine back in field for his captain Liam Gordon, who's also lunging in to try and prevent the Haksabanovic cross coming into the danger area, and it was Considine who made the contact to direct it past Remy Matthews. St Johnstone coming forward in the left though. Here's young Kucheravi finding himself in a good position, playing it off Carter Vickers, and it will be a St Johnstone corner. A couple of minutes played. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Much better. Good play in the middle of the park with Wright and McGowan. Eventually goes out to the left hand side, up the line, and they've won themselves a corner. Again, they'll crowd Joe Hart.
Yeah, they will. And they'll look to get a better delivery this time from Melker Hallberg. Left hand side, swings in towards the near post. Again, it's defended at the near post, this time by Giakoumakis. Good challenge by Kucheravi to ensure Maida couldn't get onto it, and then he sends a really dreadful ball back in, looking for some of his players inside the penalty area, but overhits it, and it will be a Celtic goal kick. 2.5 minutes into the second half. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Great challenge to win the ball, but then he's got to show a bit of composure. He just gets too excited there, the young lad. Done very well and then spoils it.
Yeah, and I want to take you back to the corner also, Alan. It's the opportunity for any team that's up against a team that's dominating possession. That's a 50-50 opportunity. You try to maximise it, and they end up not getting that ball past that first player. That's twice in the game now. Two good corners for them.
Here's Haksabanovic driving into the St Johnstone defence up towards the edge of the penalty. He's fouled by Liam Gordon. St Johnstone defenders aren't happy, but it was a clear foul, and it will be a free kick to Celtic about 23 yards from goal, left of centre, but it all came about as Haksabanovic drove towards goal. It's a yellow card as well for Liam Gordon, who...
Yeah, no complaints for that.
Who can't really complain, can he?
No. And go back to the corner, one of my coaches here at St Johnstone Park used to call it Adam's disease, the first man.
Yeah. But you've got to put it in where your players, you've got the big guys up, they're all lined up to go and attack the ball, and you can't even get the ball to a point where they can make contact.
Yeah, you've got to get it in the box.
Well, Celtic have an opportunity here to make it 2-0, and you would have to think that if they do that, the game is as good as gone for St Johnstone.
Now the problem for the goalkeeper, of course, Matthews, is the sun that we talked about in the first half. That's right in his eyes.
Yeah, he's not got the cap on either, as Haksabanovic and O'Reilly stand over the free kick. It's a good 10, maybe more yards left of centre, but it's definitely within striking distance. Haksabanovic.
It's also on for a square ball to Hatate.
Yeah, it's O'Reilly who helps it into the penalty area, and there's the goal, but it's chopped off. It was Giakoumakis who dived to head past Remy Matthews. The assistance flag is up on the far side, and it remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Well, it's calm defending from St Johnstone. They did well to hold the line, to allow him to go off. I don't know how far off he was, whether it was a half yard. I'm sure Kerrigan will tell us, but that's calm defending when a ball's played into that position and you hold your line to play people offside.
Kerrigan, you had a chance to see that one?
Yeah, very, very tight call. I think, you know how UEFA do these kind of 3D renditions of the offside. Maybe his right wrist was just about offside. Very, very tight call. Possibly the right one, but extremely tight.
Well, the right wrist
would VAR in a couple of weeks, hopefully.
Well, yeah, we'll see, but the right wrist wouldn't make him offside, would it? So, well, We'll see later on in the highlights whether that was the right call, but certainly for St Johnstone it's a let off, although as you say, Packy, in terms of keeping a high line and keeping that rigidity in your defensive line, it could go down as good play. 7:30 on BBC Scotland channel this evening for the highlights, repeated at 25 to midnight.
It was almost as if,
One.
sorry Al, it was almost as if they knew he was getting offside. That's what I thought. Nobody attacked the ball from a defensive perspective. It was a good ball in. It was a nice ball played in between the goalkeeper, which he couldn't come for, and the defence.
Certainly very, very tight.
Yeah, it was a good header as well, past Remy Matthews from Giacomakis, but chopped off. And with 51 minutes on the clock, it remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1. But Celtic have it through Bernabei on this near side, the Celtic left, crossing the halfway line, trying to play it forward for Maida, who's taken up that Jota position on this left-hand side of the Celtic attack. Bernabei has it back. He's under pressure from Dre Wright, now looking to also apply that pressure to Stephen Welsh, but he just turns back to his keeper and then gets it back from him, the young Celtic central defender. Now O'Reilly looking to spread play out to the right-hand side for Abada, but Brown in the way. Celtic have it once more though, and eventually it finds its way to Abada, edge of the penalty here. Giacomakis, still Celtic come forward. It's a good ball into the box, and Maida goes for the acrobatic effort when he might well have just had a more simple effort to tap it in past Remy Matthews. Eventually it goes wide, and it remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
I just wonder if he got a shout from Lyle Abada at the back post, because he was in a great position to just go and head it into the back of the net. It was great play to get Haksabanovic down in that right hand side. Nice little ball dinked into the back post, but it looked as if he had a clear header on target, and Maida had tried his overhead kick. Just maybe a clear shout. Whether as a striker, Alan, would you leave the ball? Would you leave it?
No, he's got to leave it. He's got to leave it. Abada's in a better position. He's coming onto the ball. The ball's behind him, and he's trying to hitch kick it in. As where Abada's just coming straight onto it.
Kucheravic going to get a booking here for blocking off Hatate there as the goal kick was taken. It's the third yellow to be shown to a St Johnstone player, joining Liam Gordon and Ryan McGowan in the referee's notebook. Stephen Welsh, the only Celtic player in there. It will be a Celtic free kick just inside the St Johnstone half, but that was a real big chance for Celtic to double their advantage, which neither Maida or Abada in the end could take. As Bernabei takes the free kick back to Carter Vickers, just inside his own half, then out to the right hand side for Ralston. St Johnstone desperately need the next goal in the game if they're to have any hope of improving their record here against Celtic. But forwards comes Haksabanovic. It's a good challenge, is it? No, it's not. It's a foul by Considine. Thought he'd taken the ball there, but the referee thought otherwise, and Haksabanovic wins Celtic another free kick. Pretty much a mirror image of the position they had just a moment ago. It was on the left hand side, now this one's right of centre, but again it's an opportunity here.
The chance for Matt O'Reilly as well. It's lovely, set up for a lovely left footer here on the right hand side, on his left foot. It's set up for him.
The last one was flighted into the box for that Giacomakis offside header, and will Celtic this time go for goal? It was O'Reilly who played that ball into the box. It was a beautifully judged ball. What will he do this time? He can certainly, the position of the free kick favours him in terms of the shot at goal for the left foot. Haksabanovic also there if they want to try and again engineer the opportunity at the back post. It is O'Reilly stepping up, fires it goalwards, and it's just gone into the side netting. Remy Matthews was completely wrong-footed by deflection on its way through, and if that had crept inside the post, that was going to beat him. But as it is, it trickled by the post, and it remains after 55 minutes. It came off Dyson Maida.
Yeah, came off his head.
St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, it was a free kick. It was wide of the wall, and it hit Maida's head on the way by, and wrong-footed Matthews.
It certainly did. So Celtic again having chances at the start of this second half, not able to take them just yet. Yeah, we've got two players down, clutching the heads. Nicky Clark for St Johnstone as Rio Hatate goes to make sure he's okay, and actually see who the Celtic player Haksabanovic is the Celtic player who looks like he'll be okay. He's just trying to get back to his feet. The Montenegrin Nicky Clark is sitting up now as well as he gets some treatment. Haksabanovic I don't think is going to need any, but we will have the stoppage in any case for the head knock to both players. And St Johnstone,
he's got something in his eye, Haksabanovic, when you see it. Tim Williams, the physio's looking right in his eye there. I think he's been caught, maybe got something in it.
Kieran, you had a look at that one?
Yeah, what happened actually, when Matt O'Reilly went to play that kind of high ball across midfield, the first thing that he did was hit Haksabanovic flush in the eye. I don't know if he wears lenses or not, but certainly got a ball pretty much flush in the eye there. That's why he went down.
Well, play about to resume. Nicky Clark is off the pitch, but will be okay to return very soon. Alan, I was going to say, do you see a St Johnstone change? Because certainly the flow of the game is pretty much the same as it was in the first half.
Yeah, you'd like to think so now. You know, we're now almost an hour into the match. They're still in it, but they're going to have to start taking chances if they want to get something out of this match. So I would imagine, is it a Stevie May, is it a Theo Bair, someone like that can come on, just change the front two.
Good goal Theo Bair scored. Will be a consolation on Wednesday night. His first St Johnstone goal against Kilmarnock there as Celtic come forward. Poor ball in the end from Ralston, easily mopped up by Remy Matthews in the St Johnstone goal. 57 minutes played at McDiarmid Park, and still Celtic lead by that. Andrew Considine own goal to nil, scored just before the interval.
Yeah, Tony Ralston's one of them I feel sorry for in many ways. You know, when you consider the way that he was playing, the ability to get forward, the energy he had, and then he hasn't been playing. You know, and he's been out of things, and that's a difficult one. I've seen him against St Mirren too, and he almost got really tired in the second half, and that. But he was so unlucky to go out of the team.
He was brilliant last year, scored so many goals, and vital goals. Remember the last-minute goal at Ross County, you know, to win Celtic the match. Massive goals last year, became a Scotland international as well. Find themselves. But Juranovic is a class act, Pat, when he's fit. He really
yes, of course he is.
Yeah, Celtic have got a squad full of very good players now in each of the positions. They've got more or less a couple of players in each one who can slot in, and you barely notice the difference. Here they come, and it's Haksabanovic, and essentially he tries to thread it through for Maida, but as a St Johnstone player in the way. But Hallberg's given it away to Carter Vickers, and Celtic will come again. The home fans want to see a bit more from their side in terms of composure once they actually get a hold of the ball. Here's Ralston on the right hand side looking to take on Brown. Does swing the ball into the far post. Giakoumakis with the header down. Hatate's there, he can't turn it goalwards. He'll come back the way though to Bernabei, edge of the box. Hatate's still the options. A poor ball from Bernabei, but Hatate will keep it alive for Celtic. Just out in the touchline here on the left hand side. O'Reilly gets it back to Hatate. He couldn't quite gather it in his stride, just a foot maybe too much on the ball there from O'Reilly. He's behind for a goal kick. It remains Johnstone 0, Celtic 1, 59 played.
Yeah, we were speaking about Tony Ralston showing his ability that time, getting forward, getting in a 1v1 situation, and being able to beat his opponent and get that ball into the back post. And Giakoumakis, I've got to say, got up fantastically well.
That was.
Yeah, he did well to get it back across goal, but Hatate couldn't turn it into the net as James Brown runs into Maida, who took a sore one for his troubles there. But Celtic have the ball once more. I don't think the possession stats will have changed any. 80-20 in Celtic's favour in the first half. Here's Abada out on the right hand side looking to get the run here on Considine, cuts it back but only to Kucheravi, who's more or less in the penalty spot as he comes away with it for St Johnstone. Plays it out to the left hand side to Murphy, who's having to work hard to keep hold of the ball up against Carter Vickers and Maida. In the end he gives it away to O'Reilly, whose ball forward is cut out by Gordon. He in turn just presents it straight back to Stephen Welsh. Callum Davidson cutting a frustrated figure down there at the edge of his technical area. They must be thinking about a change.
Yeah, but the strikers have got to stand still. You know, Nicky, all you can see, if you're one of the back three, all you can see is the back of Murphy or the back of Clark running long. Yes, I get they want to get up the park, but equally stand still. Let them try and control the ball. Let Celtic players foul you. Try and get out. Don't keep running away.
It's come off Bernabei, and it will be a St Johnstone throw, just passing the hour mark now. And St Johnstone, for all that they've barely been an attacking force, are still in the contest.
You might maybe Ali Crawford for Kucheravi or even Hallberg. Looks a bit tired, Hallberg.
Murphy helps it on down the right. Carter Vickers is there, takes a touch and then volleys it forward. Mitchell heads it back, and then Murphy out to the right hand side. That's a bit better from St Johnstone, but Hallberg had gone forward and was offside, and Nicky Clark has gone down off the ball and has stayed down as Celtic come forward down the left hand side. It's a poor ball though, Remy Matthews will gather. There are substitutions coming, I gather, as Nicky Clark. It's always a worrying one, isn't it, when he goes down with no one really around him. No, I don't think there was.
Contact, whether he's twisted. I think he went to swipe at the ball, did he? And didn't quite. He can almost miss the ball. And
it's knee to knee with Carter Vickers, I think.
Was it?
That's what it looks like, knee to knee.
Yeah, well, he's certainly taking the brunt of that, as Carter Vickers is absolutely fine. Man Mountain, the American defender, really solid. And Nicky Clark still receiving treatment. He looks in a bit of pain. I think
hopefully it's just a knock though.
Yeah, absolutely. Suggestions there that there are going to be changes. Kerry, have you got any info on that? I can see Stevie May.
I do indeed. I can see it's going to be at least a double substitution because Stevie May and Ali Crawford are stripped. So St Johnstone will be ringing the changes. Just waiting to see what Callum Davidson's going to do about the potential injury just now that's happening. But certainly Stevie May and Ali Crawford will be coming on.
You would take Clark off. You would take him off. He's such an important player for them.
You would take him off, or you would?
I would take him off because he looks injured.
Yeah, right.
You know, he's had that knock in the knee. He's so vital. They don't have many strikers.
Here are the changes then, and it is Kucheravi who's going to be replaced, as you called it, Alan, by Ali Crawford. But it's not going to be. It's not going to be Nicky Clark coming off. It's Jamie Murphy. So Stevie May will come on to partner Nicky Clark. So he obviously has told the physio team and we've conveyed the information to Callum Davidson that he's fine to continue.
Yeah, I think that's what he was going to do initially anyway, and leave Clark on to see could he have that combination with Stevie May up front. But he's obviously fine when he's still on the pitch.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Remy Matthews playing it straight off Giacomakis, and Giacomakis able to gather. St Johnstone getting bodies back to try and see out the danger, and Giacomakis playing the ball forward straight into the arms of Remy Matthews, but the keeper got away with one there.
He tried to volley it, didn't he? He kind of almost volleyed it into his back.
It's like you remember the goal that Celtic had, it was at Livingston as well, Sanchez Brotto, the way he used to drill it side on. He tried to do that and got it all wrong.
Bernabé, who's been quite impressive, packing his first league start for Celtic, the young Argentinian fullback.
Yeah, he's done okay. I think he's been half decent on the ball. He hasn't been asked to defend too much, that's for sure. I think this man's been impressive.
Haksabanovic threads it through. Abada's in, saved by Remy Matthews. Maida and Abada were both racing to try and get onto that, and the Israeli got there first but couldn't beat the keeper. That was a good save, keeping St Johnstone in the game. Celtic will come again though. Ralston out there for Haksabanovic. Yeah, he has been excellent, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's the one that stands out, I think.
Carter Vickers onto Abada. O'Reilly on the edge of the penalty, clips it in, looking for Hattati. Back goes Gordon, heads it behind for a corner. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 0, and now Remy Matthews is down.
I think it's that save he's made. I think it's just hit him more than anything, maybe winded a bit.
Oh, it's right in there. You know what? It'll take a moment or two to recover.
As a goalie, Pat, if you're struggling, you would just sit down, because you don't have to come off when you're a keeper when you're injured to go back on. So just sit down.
Celtic have taken the corner though, out on the right hand side, looking to engineer the opportunity here. It's Ralston, but he's lost possession on the edge of the box, and Dre Wright will come away with it. Celtic racing back, and they've robbed St Johnstone of possession. It's Hattati picking up. Hattati drops the shoulder, comes inside, plays it for Abada. Abada with the opportunity, left-footed, and he's tipped it round the post. Remy Matthews, as Celtic look for the second goal that would surely kill St Johnstone off, and it will be a corner.
It's something for a young fullback to watch there. Dre Wright's got the ball, and Brown tries to go round him. They've already got a man in front. You've got to bide your time, because Dre Wright gets caught on the ball, and Brown's now out the game. Yeah. Don't be too impatient to get round him, just back him up.
It's two that Abada's had saved in the first couple of minutes as the ball comes into the penalty area. St Johnstone defend that one reasonably well. Stevie May can't keep a hold of it though. Celtic are going to make a change as James Forrest is waved back in, and I think Kyogo perhaps as well. Kyogo's continuing his warm-up for the moment. I think it might be Abelgor instead. Kerrigan will give us the details of it once they become apparent. But,
yeah, go back to Abada's chance. It was a great chance to kill this game off. He almost takes it onto his left and then switches it back onto his right, and he didn't get any real power on the shot, but he was in a great position to drill that ball across the goalkeeper. He's gone for the near post.
It's a St Johnstone free kick taken by Remy Matthews. Well won by Clark above Bernabei. Wright trying to take on Maida, but the Japanese getting the better of him. It breaks the way though of Ali Crawford. Bernabei tries to go back. Celtic fans thought that ball had crossed the touchline. Don't think the whole ball was out as Ali Crawford switches play, and it's Brown who'll collect on the left hand side about 15 yards from the goal line, looking to try and get the ball into the box. Ralston holding him up, back the way it goes to Considine. Low ball ends, a poor one. Had to be better than that from Considine. And Celtic come in the counter, and it's Abada, and he's gone one-on-one. What pace from Abada. It's a terrific challenge, you have to say, coming in as St Johnstone look to try and keep Celtic at bay. And it was a wonderful challenge there by Alex Mitchell, because Abada was absolutely flying.
It was a great challenge and a great breakout from Abada, but when Yakimakis gets the ball, he picked the wrong pass. He had two players bombing up on his left hand side. Yes, Maeda was running through the middle, but he was never going to execute that pass, and it was a simple pass to his left hand side, and they were in.
Tries to be too clever instead of doing the simple thing.
Midway point of the second period, still Celtic lead by a goal to nil. Kerrigan, changes?
Yes, indeed. Triple substitution for Celtic. Aaron Moy, James Forrest and Oliver Abelgard are coming on, and I can tell you that Ange Postecoglou, to reinforce what Pat Bonner was just saying there, was none too impressed with the choice made there by Yakimakis. Absolutely furious, the Aussie manager, who wants his team to be more clinical and take their chances. As Matt O'Reilly, one of the players coming off, he'll be replaced by Abelgard, Moy and Forrest. The others coming on, and it looks like Abada, who's had a hat-trick of excellent chances, he is coming off to be replaced by James Forrest, and then we'll just see who comes off in place for Aaron Moy.
Thanks, Kerrigan. Triple change from Ange Postecoglou. Abada should have scored at least once in this game. He had a glorious opportunity in the first half. Yeah, Hatate, the final Celtic player to make way as part of that triple change.
Yeah, I just wonder how they're going to set up now in midfield. Celtic, will they play with the two sitting, Moy and Abelgard, or will they push Moy a little bit further forward and let Abelgard be the sitting player?
Be like a diamond in the middle of the park.
Just Stevie May with a chance. He's through on goal. Actually, Stevie May taps it past Joe Hart, and it's onto the post and away. But St Johnstone have barely been seen as an attacking force in the game. Comes so close to an equaliser.
I think he saved that, Pat.
I think he did. I think he got a touch on it just to push it onto the post. It wasn't the best strike in the world, but certainly he was true, and he hits across the goalkeeper. I think he might have just got a finger on it.
Well, if it is a save, it's a very good save. Stevie May side foots it past Joe Hart, but denied by the post. And St Johnstone, well, that would have been rough on Celtic, you'd have to say, given the balance of play. It does go down as a Joe Hart save, and well, Paggy, as you were saying, I mean, he might have made a mistake in midweek, but he's still produced some really big saves for Celtic, none less than that one there just now.
Absolutely, and it's the strength of a Celtic goalkeeper when you have nothing to do in the game, absolutely nothing, that you can pull out the big save at the right time. Of course, St Johnstone will be really disappointed that he's been able to make the save, because I think Stevie May could have done better. He didn't quite hit his shot. It's going to almost trundle to Joe, but Joe still had to get down to make that vital touch.
Yeah, it was a really good save, Pat. It was from nothing really. It was just a ball played through, and he was on in behind Welsh. That's his shot across the keeper, but the big keeper. It's a really good save. Vital save.
Abelgard playing that holding midfield role now for Celtic, with Moy in the Hatate position. Haksabanovic still on the pitch in the more attacking midfield role. Here's McGowan, digs that through for Hallberg. Hallberg trying to help it on to Nicky Clark, and all of a sudden St Johnstone looking a bit more dangerous. knocked out of play on this near side for a St Johnstone throw-in.
That'll be the long throw-in, I would imagine. McGowan can come and throw it right into the box.
And up will come Alex Mitchell to add his height, but Liam Gordon and Andrew Considine staying at the back to keep an eye on Giacomakis. But it will be McGowan, as Alan says, to wind up the long throw in the Australian.
And that's the right thing. You can see Mitchell going right on the byline, and what he wants is he wants it thrown right in the point of the 6-yard box. So he'll start on the byline so he gets a run and jump.
Right, McGowan being waved back a few yards before he takes this throw in, and it comes towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Welsh does really well to climb above Mitchell, and then Giacomakis is yanked back by Liam Gordon, who has to be conscious of the fact that he's on a yellow card as he argues with the referee about the decision. He's saying his jersey is also being tugged, and he might have a point, but he has to just be careful.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful. He's obviously, leaning into him, Giacomakis, and maybe pulling at him, but don't exaggerate it, because you could easily end up with a second yellow card.
Very good striker play as well, using your body to protect the ball. And the centre half comes through the back.
Yeah, Giacomakis is so strong as well, isn't he? He's
I was saying that to Pat before the game, that I think he's really suited to the Scottish game. Maybe not so much to the European ties, but certainly the game in Scotland. His presence, his size, his power, his touch.
Yeah, he's got a bit of everything, hasn't he? He can certainly knows the way to go. 17 he scored last season, and 3 so far in a injury hit, but also he's had to settle for a place on the bench for the most part this season so far. But he certainly offers you something different from Kyogo, who's still on the bench this afternoon. Might see some game time before the game is out. Here is James Forrest, who, as we were discussing pre-match, hasn't had all that much football as Haksabanovic is brought to the deck by Brown out the right hand side. Celtic quickly take the free kick. It's Moy getting it back to Haksabanovic. Good challenge by McGowan. McGowan can't keep it in play though, and it will be a Celtic throw on the far side. We've played 73 minutes almost at McDiarmid Park, and St Johnstone, for all that they've been on the back foot for the most part, can still get their way back into the game, but they do trail by a goal to nil. Stevie May with their best opportunity just a few minutes ago, just having come on as a substitute, and it's a good Joe Hart save in the end to knock it onto the post and away, as Carter Vickers has to go back towards his own goal under pressure from Nicky Clark, but he gets it back to Joe Hart, who immediately plays it out to Stephen Welsh. Welsh just outside his penalty area, into Bernabei it goes, and Bernabei back to Joe Hart. Carter Vickers now collects possession, and now it's Abiel Gore, the Dane, forward for Haksabanovic, who's had his best game I've seen certainly in a Celtic jersey. He finds Forrest in off the right flank, plays it forward for Maida across goal. Giacomakis can get something on it, but not enough to get past Remy Matthews, and the goalkeeper collects, and it remains with 74 minutes played. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Really good defending by Mitchell at the near post. Lovely play by Forrest to Moy. Moy gets there, whips it across. Mitchell was just holding off Giacomakis, not allowing him to get a free effort to go. Really good defending, protecting that near post area.
He's looked good from what I've seen.
He's a good player. Yeah, he is a good
St Johnstone career. On loan from Millwall, as Carter Vickers is penalised there for a challenge in Hallberg, and the referee Ewan Anderson wants a word with the American international. St Johnstone will have a free kick midway inside the Celtic half. St Johnstone are about to make a double change. Kennedy, you got details of that?
Yes, Bear is coming on, just having a look to see who's coming on beside him. Looks like McLennan, Bear and McLennan coming on.
Theo Bear and Conor McLennan will come on. James Brown, one of the players to make way, and also Nicky Clark, who took that knock earlier on, and Theo Bear will go on and replace him up front, and Conor McLennan probably go out to that left flank, I guess, in place of James Brown, as St Johnstone look to somehow get their way back into the game.
Very attacking, really attacking, because McLennan is a forward-thinking player, as well Brown's a defensive one.
Crawford's free kick into the penalty. It's Carter Vickers that gets up highest to defend it. Forrest knocks it back the way to Haksabanovic, but May has fouled him deep in Celtic territory. It will be a Celtic free kick. We've got 15 to play, and well, it's certainly a sign that Callum Davison is going for this to try and get something out of the game.
Well, one thing, Conor McLellan is a good attacking option for St Johnstone, but he's now playing left wing back and against James Forrest, so you would imagine that Forrest has got to get at him, but it's very attacking from Callum.
Moy goes down under the challenge of Bear. He's back to his feet with no free kick awarded and retains possession. Now it's Maida looking to take on Wright. Wright has done well at right wing back, you'd have to say, and Maida was offside actually when the ball was played forward, but Dre Wright has done well. I mean, he's more of an attacker than a defender generally speaking, Alan, but he at right wing back has done well against both Jota and Maida.
He has, but I mean, Dre's got a lot of experience now, and he plays right on that, right back, right wing back, right wing if you want. He can play right up that side, and that's why Callum brought him back. He knows what he was getting from Dre Wright. He's done very well.
Celtic lead though, 0-0. Andrew Considine's own goal late in the first period is the difference between the sides. That's given away by Bernabe. May picks up from McGowan, but he couldn't get it shot away. McGowan's worked really hard to try and get it back, but Ralston eventually comes out on top in that duel, and then Forrest with a lovely spin away from his marker, who was Conor McLennan.
I've got to say, Bernabe was very lucky there. He does well initially to create a little bit of space for himself to pass the ball, but he tries to pass into that sort of position where it's easily cut out. He should have been knocking that ball long up to Giakoumakis and get this team up the pitch.
And when McGowan wins that, he's looking for the 1-2 with May. May takes an extra touch and the chance is gone.
Haksabanovic again doing really well to find Moy in the middle of the park. We've got 13 minutes left at McDiarmid. It's Moy once more collecting from Haksabanovic. Giakoumakis, was he just caught there by Considine? Yes, he was. 25 yards from goal, central area. Celtic will have the free kick. This is dangerous.
Yeah, a real dangerous position. Right inside the goalkeeper now has to decide where is he going to set the wall up, which side is he going to protect. Obviously the sun's gone, which he'd be delighted with, but Celtic can go both sides here.
You think with the technique he's got, Haksabanovic would be the favourite here?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it's almost exactly central and about 25 yards out, as I mentioned. Haksabanovic certainly fancies his chances, and in the way he's been playing, you would fancy him to test the goalkeeper here. Aaron Moy is the other player standing over the dead ball as St Johnstone try and line the wall up on the edge of the penalty area. They've been waved back a couple of yards as Celtic look for a killer second goal, which will earn them the 3 points and ensure they remain at the top of the table. Haksabanovic lines it up, right-footed, hits the wall, claimed for handball actually by Haksabanovic, but they'll get the corner, Celtic.
Yeah, he failed to get it up and down or over the wall. The wall did his job, but they've taken this corner quickly again.
Yeah, they have. It's back to Bernabe, and now Haksabanovic tries to get it through, but McLennan was in the way. Wright gets it clear up to May. McLennan can't quite get it past to Crawford, and Moy's back there just to stick a toe in and knock it out of play before St Johnstone can mount the counter-attack.
The sense I get in this game, Alan, I don't know how you feel, is that St Johnstone feel they're going to get something out of it.
Well, they've been very positive. Yeah, Callum's been very positive with the substitutions lately. They're bringing Bear on, 6'4" striker. They can go long. They've still got Stevie Mays on. They've got McLennan on.
Here's May again collecting, trying to help it forward into the penalty area. Carter Vickers gets it away, and Ralston helps it on further. McGowan trying to win possession back for St Johnstone. Haksabanovic looked like he fouled McLennan there, but Ewan Anderson was in a good position, and Celtic come forward. Forrest feeds it left-hand side. Aaron Moy trying to get it back into the penalty area. Might have taken the shot on himself. It will be a Celtic corner. But St Johnstone and their manager, perhaps Callum Davidson in particular, furious that the free kick didn't go their way earlier in the move.
Yeah, I could have listened. The referee could have given a free kick, but Celtic then on the counter-attack. I thought Aaron Moy probably should have had a shot across the goalkeeper there. He's almost tried to cut it back when it was on to hit the strike from the left-hand side, just inside the box.
Moy corner from the left-hand side, near post ball, looking for Giakoumakis. He can't do much with it, but it's Forrest gets it to Haksabanovic. Strong challenge comes in from right. Ball still with Celtic. Bernabe tries to feed it in to the back post, but Abuyogor had gone offside at the edge of the penalty area. St Johnstone will have the free kick, and well, it was 6 years since they've taken anything here against Celtic. Back in May of 2016, a 2-1 win. That's their only time they've beaten Celtic in the last 23 meetings, drawn 3 and lost 20 in that period. And with 10 minutes to go, they're still in the contest, but they've only really troubled Joe Hart on one occasion as Celtic prepare to make another change. Giakoumakis battling away there and keeps possession. Abildgaard tries to spread out to the left-hand side. Maida will do well to keep that in. He doesn't manage to do so, and Kerridine, another Celtic change is upon us.
It is indeed the last 10 minutes. James McCarthy coming on for Celtic. James McCarthy coming on, just having a look to see who's coming off. Not clear yet, but certainly McCarthy on. Number 9 is Haksabanovic, who's had an excellent game coming off.
Yeah, he's a good gamer, hasn't he? And again, I think it's turned into a bit of a battle now, actually, the game, which probably suits St Johnstone more than Celtic. Celtic just got to settle the game down now and get their passing away. But St Johnstone's kind of almost developed the game into a rugged type game, and obviously putting those fresh players on, high pressure.
Here's Stevie May trying to get onto Theo Beer's flick on. Giakoumakis penalised for his challenge there on Alex Mitchell. It'll be a St Johnstone free kick about 15 yards inside the Celtic half. And now, unlike their tactics in the first period, they are throwing all the big boys forwards to get on the end of Ali Crawford's free kick. Only Dre Wright staying at the back for now as Crawford does flight in towards the edge of the penalty area. It's good defending by Giakoumakis. Comes to McLennan at the edge of the penalty area. It's poor control from the on loan Aberdeen winger, and knocked out of play over on the far side by Moy. St Johnstone will have the throw in, but 5 or 6 yards away from the corner flag, and across will go Andy Considine, who certainly possesses a long throw in with 8 minutes to play. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1. Considine lines up the long one into the edge of the 6-yard box. It comes. It's 1-0 by Carter Vickers, helped away by Moy. St Johnstone looking to provide a late flurry to get something from the game, which you would have to see on the balance of play they don't really deserve, but Celtic haven't put them away yet as Theo Beer chases down a knock on, but he won't get there before Joe Hart, and it will remain St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1 as Anthony Ralston goes down on the far side. And now it's Celtic perhaps trying to run down the clock here to some extent.
Yeah, I just wonder what's wrong with him, whether it's he's got his boot off, whether he's just waiting to get.
And they've made their changes.
Yeah, they've made all 5 changes. So just double checking that they have made all their changes, so they need him to get back to his feet. I don't think he's going to.
I don't know whether he's injured. He's just the boot came off, and he's just. I don't think he is injured.
No, he's just putting his boot back on in a timely fashion.
I'm not sure if that's allowed, actually. You know.
Here he is in possession. Forward it goes for Moy, feeding James Forrest down the right flank. Early ball in, looking for Giakoumakis, holds it up, tries to lay it back to Maida, but Dre Wright was in the way and gets it away to Ali Crawford, who just knocks it down the right channel, looking for Theo Beer. Stephen Welsh there first though. McCarthy's first touch. Beer does well. Crawford trying to switch the play, looking for Hallberg out there. Ralston rises to head it down, only to Hallberg, and forward comes McLennan on the left hand side. Midway inside the Celtic half, clips it in, looking for Beer. Welsh rises to meet it, and Moy picks up in the middle of the park, and will look to mount a Celtic counter. Giakoumakis gets onto his pass down the right hand side, up against Liam Gordon. Step over from the Greek, still looking to create the opportunity. The cross ball is over the head of James Forrest. No other Celtic player arriving, and Ali Crawford picks up for the Saints. His switch of play though, looking for Hallberg, is straight out of play, and with 5.5 minutes left of the 90, it remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Got a bit more possession, St Johnstone, a bit wasteful with it. You know, you think if Celtic could pick them off on the attack, you can finish this game, but still 1-0, 5 minutes to go. Callum's thrown men forward.
Just the potential for this to get a little bit nervy for Celtic, which is kind of needless in the sense that they've had so much of the game, but
they were in a great position there with Giakoumakis also. You know, he's made a great run down the channel, just hold it up, bring people into play. He tries a square pass and puts almost St Johnstone in the attack again.
Here's Moy, flips that forward, but Mitchell read it. Carter Vickers comes across to head the ball forward. Moy collects, and spins it out to the left-hand side for Bernabei, midway inside the St Johnstone half. Back it goes. I think he was looking for Abel-Gore, but Moy thought it was for him and tried to collect it. Celtic do keep possession. Here is Abel-Gore out to Bernabei on the left-hand side. Crossing opportunity, comes off the back of Dre Wright, out for a St Johnstone throw-in. The minutes tick down towards the 90, and still Celtic have that slender advantage thanks to the Andrew Considine own goal just before half-time, which will at the moment take them 5 points clear of Rangers ahead of that 3 o'clock kickoff. Remember, that's live here with us on BBC Radio Scotland Extra on sounds, as well as digital, medium wave and online, or you've got Open All Mics, which will cover all the top flight games as well as the best of the action elsewhere. Celtic have it. Ralston tries to thread it forward. Chance for Maida to roll into the net. The offside flag is up again to deny the Japanese a second goal. I wonder if Giakoumakis might have been onside and might also have been able to get on the end of the pass. Giakoumakis, I think, is making that point to Maida right now. It's not going to stand.
I think you're right.
Remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
I think you're right, Al. He was offside, Maeda, but was Giakoumakis offside, because he was through also.
Carradine?
I think they were probably both offside. Certainly Maeda was a mile offside. Giakoumakis annoyed, but I think he would have been flagged off too.
Well, Celtic pass up another opportunity certainly to put the game to bed, and St Johnstone will hopefully, from their perspective, take heart from that. They've really only been able to provide one solitary threat to Joe Hart's goal in the course of the game. That was when Stevie May saw his shot saved by the Celtic goalkeeper. Here is May on the right hand side, gets into the box, McGowan attacks it, falls to McLennan, has blasted it over the crossbar. That was the chance surely for St Johnstone to grab the equaliser. Wow. But he's blasted it over the crossbar, and it remains St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
He's got to score. It's great play by Stevie May on the right hand side, clips the ball. McGowan goes in middle of the 6, comes back to McLennan. Lovely first touch. It's the only thing I would say, it's on his weaker left foot, and then he leans back. He's got to score, Pat. That's for someone with his ability, and you know, that's a bad miss.
You're absolutely right. He's come on the pitch, he's fresh also, you know, get over the ball. But Tony Ralston actually did really well, because he had to make a decision at the back post. Was he going to go on to the player who was almost in the middle of the goal? He did, and he prevented the first chance, and then of course McClellan should have really been hitting the target and at least forcing Joe Hart into a save. Good play from Stevie May down the side, getting that cross in there.
Here's Maida having to go back towards his own goal. He's given that to Stevie May inside the penalty area. May trying to get away from Carter Vickers, lays it back to Crawford. Here's Hallberg inside the box, back to May on the angle on the right hand side. He'll try and curl one in. Hart with the save. It'll come back to Dre Wright, back across goal. Stephen Welsh in the way. Stevie May still trying to keep it alive, and Celtic eventually managed to get out of the penalty area, but all of a sudden it's their backs to the wall as St Johnstone press for the equaliser.
Yeah, and again, my head putting that ball into his own box when he should be hooking it up the line, getting it away from danger.
It'll be a throw into St Johnstone over on the far side. That's Considine over, looking to take another long one. It's Ralston winning the header this time. Only as far though as McLennan. Back out to the left hand side to Considine to swing it into the penalty area. Out comes Joe Hart, clutches that at the second attempt, and the pressure is relieved on the Celtic backline as we enter the final minute of the 90. Celtic still leading by a goal to 0. Forward by Moy to Forrest. He's offside as well. That was a close one, I think.
Yeah, that was close. And if he just had a second earlier, James Forrest looking across the line, he made the sort of kind of almost bendy run, and it looked as if he was just going to break that offside, but the assistant put his flag up. Pressure still on Celtic here. This ball will be played right down from the goalkeeper, right in on top of that defence.
The 3 centre halves are now up as we go into the final minute. There must be 4 or 5 added on, surely.
We're about to find out as Matthews takes the free kick. 5 minutes we hear as Abel-Gore, a commanding header to get it back into the St Johnstone half, towering above Liam Gordon. There's back with Matthews, plays it short to Dre Wright. He's closed down by Moy, but he does get the ball forward. Carter Vickers watches that all the way and heads it clear. McCarthy in there, battling to keep possession down the left hand side.
He's got to switch it.
McCarthy tries to find Giakoumakis. Conor McLennan instead takes that down. The Celtic fans howling for a handball in there, but McLennan comes away down the left flank. as St Johnstone continued to chase an equaliser. McLennan perhaps should have had one a few minutes ago. He lost his composure. McLennan comes infield, plays it out to the right hand side for Dre Wright. Wright clips it towards the back post. Bear with a shove there. Surely it's a free kick. It's a really stupid bit of play from Theo Bear, because they're in a good position, and even if he doesn't win that particular header, they could still have kept the pressure on, but he concedes the free kick, and Celtic will take their time here as Stephen Wells just tries to stretch off the calves. We are into those 5 minutes of added on time. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, and Tony Ralston, who's kind of really struggling at this point in time. He's been down, he's been stretching his hamstrings, his calves have tightened up, and he just under pressure at the back post, and he gives away that free kick there by pushing him. Takes the pressure off Celtic.
Joe Hart with the free kick. Celtic heading 5 points clear at the top of the Premiership as things stand, unless St Johnstone can muster another opportunity. Abiel Gore winning the ball in the middle of the park though for Celtic, and now it's Bernabei trying to feed it down the left for Maida, and then Bernabei shoving McGowan in the back and conceding the free kick just inside the St Johnstone half. St Johnstone now the team very much in a hurry as Celtic look to hold on to their advantage. Matthews pumps it forwards. It's well won. Carter Vickers going right into the back there of Liam Gordon.
That
and
could
he's
be a yellow card for me.
Free kick.
He has a yellow card. They're giving away silly fouls, Celtic, putting a lot of pressure on themselves. Bernabei on this side here initially, and now Carter Vickers. He can almost hesitate and then went for the ball too late. But this is a big chance.
3 minutes of injury time to play. This could be the final chance that comes St Johnstone's way. Ali Crawford, central area, about 45 yards from goal, clips it into the penalty. It's a goal! St Johnstone have levelled, and it's Alex Mitchell who collects inside the 6-yard box and ciphers it past Joe Hart. And somehow St Johnstone have managed to earn them a point in the game. It's St Johnstone 1, Celtic 1.
Oh, it's not done yet. There's still 3 minutes to go. They've got to get back and defend, get back in their shape. The last 10-15 minutes, I've got to say, Callum Davidson, very brave as a manager, going for it, really going for it, and as the ball's played in, it's Mitchell, a bit of composure, it drops to his left foot and he just passes it into the back of the net, giving Joe Hart no chance. It's not done yet, far from it.
Yeah, I did say though, giving away silly free kicks puts real pressure on you. We talked about the height advantage that St Johnstone have. Nobody could get onto that cross when it's played into a brilliant area, I've got to say. And then all he had to do is just guide it on target past Joe Hart. But big blow to Celtic. Got to say, St Johnstone probably deserving the second half with the changes and with the way they've went about the last probably 20-25 minutes of this game.
Alex Mitchell's first St Johnstone goal since moving on loan from Millwall. He's been a towering presence at the back for St Johnstone, and he has popped up with what looks like it will be the goal that earns St Johnstone a point, unless Celtic can produce some further late drama. We've got a minute and a half of the added on time left to play. James Forrest has not been able to keep that pass in play though. The St Johnstone player down in the back, I think it is Mitchell himself, who is cramped. Yeah, it's no real surprise. They've put everything into this game, St Johnstone. But
I've got to say, honestly, the tactics of Callum Davidson, yes, they've rode their luck a bit, but Matthews has not had to make save after save after save, Pat. Celtic have had a couple of chances that they could have and should have scored, but Callum has got his tactics spot on. Be in the game late on, then we'll make the changes, which he has done, and he's got right back in the game.
Stevie May,
it's a different St Johnstone out this year.
Yeah, they've shown real resolve to stay in the game and somehow claw themselves level as Bernabei picks up under pressure from Ali Crawford. Bernabei trying to get forward down the left flank. He's shrugged off Crawford. Can he put a ball into the box? Oh, it's well blocked by Dre Wright, who's hurt himself in the process. He can't stay on his feet, and now it's Abiel. It's into the penalty. Giakoumakis to score! Celtic have won it in the final seconds. Giakoumakis. The crowd go absolutely wild, as do the players. St Johnstone can't believe it. Dre Wright couldn't block the second cross because he'd injured himself doing the first one. Bernabei continued, put the ball into the box, and there was Giakoumakis with his 4th goal of the season to win it for Celtic. What drama at McDiarmid Park. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2.
Well, it shows they're never beaten Celtic, and what a good play from Bernabei. Got a little bit of luck down this left-hand side, but what a ball in. Brilliant. It's probably been the best cross put in by a Celtic player today. Right across that 6-yard box between the goalkeeper and the defence, and there was Giakoumakis getting into a great position, just a guided on target. Out of jail, you've got to say at this point in time, but listen, that's the makings of a team also. You've had to work really, really hard to get something out of this game when it was put up to them.
Pass. As soon as that St Johnstone goal went in, this game wasn't done, and I said it. It's not done yet. Far from it. And all credit to Celtic. They've gone forward. They do get a bit of luck because Dre Wright gets cramped. The ball's gone back to him and he can't move. He physically cannot move, and that's it. And the game's done now. Now it's over.
Fired forward by McGowan as St Johnstone look to somehow get a second equaliser, but Celtic pick up possession through Moy, and now it's Forrest, falls to McGowan in the middle of the park. Here's McLennan. McLennan should have scored himself since coming on. Stevie May on the left hand side. Now, is there one final chance here for St Johnstone? Stevie May goes for it from distance, breaks to Ali Crawford, tries to get out to the right hand side for Liam Gordon. Celtic stand firm. There's the final whistle, and that could be a huge 3 points for Celtic. They picked themselves up off the deck after it looked like they dropped 2 points when Alex Mitchell scored in injury time to level it for St Johnstone. But Celtic never know when they're going to lose out. And there was Giakoumakis to get it on the end of the cross from Bernabei and win it at the death for the champions. Ange Postecoglou's side go 5 points clear at the top of the table. What an ending to this game. But it wasn't to be for St Johnstone, who battled away, looked like they earned themselves a point for the first time in 6 years against Celtic. But Giakoumakis had other ideas, and it finished at McDiarmid Park. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2.
On digital radio.